ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. In this video I am going to describe how Bhagawan Sri Satya Sai Baba has revealed the mystery of the self and the mystery of Brahman. Let us start the video. Baba addresses his devotees as embodiments of love. Why should one crave for pleasure and prosperity, education and exalted position? It is enough if one has a compassionate heart, peace and happiness. This is all that humanity needs today. Embodiments of love. Today scientists are propagating various theories to the world. Spiritualists are propagating about divinity in various ways. However, the mankind is not able to understand what the scientists and the spiritualists are saying. Ultimately, we can conclude that the world is made up of molecules and atoms. There can be no world without the atoms. Our Ramana, former Vice Chancellor of Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, raised two questions in his speech. Who is God? Where is God? God is everywhere in the form of atoms. This is the correct answer for these questions. The universe is a combination of atoms. The Vedantins, Vedic scholars say, Aroranian Mahato Mahiyan, Brahma is subtler than the subtlest and vaster than the vastest. It is because of the coming together of the atoms that we find the five elements, human beings, various objects and activities in this world. The atoms are all pervasive. The world is composed of atoms and nothing else. The people, the birds and animals, the food, the water, the mansions, the light, everything is made up of atoms. Brahman does not have a specific form. Brahman is subtler than the subtlest, vaster than the vastest. He is the eternal witness and pervades the entire universe in the form of atoms. All powers are latent in man. There is no power that is not in him. Light waves and electric waves are present in him. Magnetic power is the greatest of all. It is present in man from top to toe. This is the cause of attraction power in him. All divine incarnations like Rama and Krishna are the personifications of magnetic power. Why does God put on the vesture of a human being? Some say that God has no form, and some others argue that God has an infinite form. Truly speaking, none of these descriptions is correct. Every atom has a form. Likewise, God also has a form. He assumed the form which his devotees attribute to him. He manifests in the form which his devotees adore, worship, and contemplate on. Sound has no form, but the object that produces sound has a form. Likewise, bliss has no form, but the person who experiences it has a form. Fragrance has no form, but the flower that emits fragrance has a form. Love has no form, but the mother who confers love has a form. Water has no form, but the container has a form. Water assumes the form of the container. Likewise, God has no form, but the atom which manifests divinity has a form. It is a mistake to argue that God has no form. In fact, all forms are His. He is infinite and all pervasive. Atom is the primordial basis for the entire creation. Nothing exists to the exclusion of atom. Atoms constitute the world. Divinity is immanent in the atom. The form of atom is the form of God. Man should make efforts to recognize this truth. Scientists had to struggle hard for 1,000 years to recognize that atom is all pervasive. However, thousands of years ago, child Prahlada recognized and proclaimed this truth. Never doubt that God is here and He is not there. He is everywhere. Wherever you search for Him, you can find Him there. But even today, scientists have not recognized this truth. Divinity transcends science. That is why people call it transcendental power. People have given it various names. Names may vary, but the fundamental basis is the same. That is the atom. The power of an atom is infinite and is present in everyone. If you question a boy as to what a magnet is, he will say that it has the power to attract iron filings. However, if you put the same question to a businessman, he will say money is the magnet. For a husband, wife is the magnet, and for a wife, husband is the magnet. For a bee, flower is the magnet. Thus we see that everything in the creation has magnetic power latent in it. Even science cannot deny it. In olden days, kings used to wear crowns embedded with magnets, because of which people would get attracted to him. Likewise, queens also used to wear jewelry studded with magnets to attract people. God is also magnetic power personified. He is the super magnet. That's why God attracts the entire creation. Such divine magnetic power is present in everyone. However, man is not making any effort to understand his latent power. God has infinite attraction power. King Janak had Shiva's bow at his residence, which was very heavy. It was not possible for mortals to lift the bow. One day Sita, who was very young at the time, was engaged in a game of ball with her playmates. As they were playing, it so happened that the ball was trapped underneath Shiva's bow. All the children tried to lift it. This Sita quite casually lifted it with her left hand and picked up the ball. King Janak was astonished when he came to know of the incident. He realized that Sita was not ordinary girl. He decided to give her in marriage to a person who could break the Shiva's bow. He thought that such a person alone was a suitable match for her, as no ordinary mortal could do so. Having decided in this manner, he sent invitations to many kings. On the appointed day, kings came and made futile attempts to lift the bow. Even the mighty Ramana failed miserably in his attempts to lift the bow. Sage Vishwamitra had brought Ram and Lakshman with him to Janak's court. All those who had assembled were attracted by their radiant forms. No one was looking at the bow. Their attention was focused on Ram and Lakshman. Sage Vishwamitra gave a meaningful look towards Rama. Rama understood its implication and slowly started walking towards the bow. All those who had assembled were smiling to themselves, thinking how could a young boy accomplish a task which even the mighty Ravan failed to achieve. To the amazement of all, Ram lifted the bow quite effortlessly with his left hand. Janak was reminded of the incident of Sita having lifted the bow. He was overjoyed with the feeling that he had found a suitable match for Sita. In the meantime, Ram tried to string the bow. In the process, it broke with a thunderous sound. People were ecstatic, seeing the majestic form of Ram and his mighty prowess. They hailed the good fortune of Sita profusely. They were happy that Sita won the hand of a person who was virtuous, powerful, and handsome. This episode demonstrates that Sita and Ram had the magnetic power in full measure. Purnamada Puranmidam, that's whole, and this is whole, etc. Ram was the embodiment of magnetic power. So also was Sita. Sita represents Prakriti, nature, and Ram is Paramatma, God. They are made for each other. Divinity can be recognized by its infinite attraction. Divinity can be recognized by its infinite attraction power. Such power is present in everyone. However, man is not making any effort to recognize his innate power. He goes by his physical power and indulges in self aggrandizement. What humanity needs is not pleasure and prosperity. Peace and happiness constitute the true strength of man. Everyone has the divine magnetic power latent in him. Man is the storehouse of heat energy, electrical energy, laser power, etc. Human body is like a small generator of electricity. The heart is like a television set and mind is like a camera. There is no power in the world that is not latent in man. Though all powers are latent in him, man out of his ignorance considers himself weak and mean. He misuses such a precious human life and consequently faces hardships. Wali was highly powerful. He was the embodiment of magnetic power. The attraction power in him was so strong that opponents could not fight with him face to face, since he would draw half their power. That's why Rama killed him. by shooting an arrow from behind a tree. Without understanding such subtle secrets, people argue that Ram committed a mistake in killing Wali by hiding behind a tree. Though God is all powerful, according to the time, situation, and circumstances, he pretends as if he too has limitations. Truly speaking, God has no limitations whatsoever. However, for the prosperity of the world and for the well being of humanity at large, sometimes he pretends to be like an ordinary human being. In such situations, people start doubting his divinity. They question if Sai Baba is so powerful, why could he not do this or that? However, God acts according to the situation and circumstances. He alone knows what to do when only God has the power and capacity to change the situation according to his plan. He does not what is right for the moment. The marriages of Ram, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughan were performed simultaneously. As you are aware, the bride and the groom exchanged garlands during the wedding. Sita had to garland Ram before the other brides could garland their respective grooms. Sita, being short in stature, could not garland Ram, who was Ajan Bahu, tall personality. Ram was expected to bend his head before Sita so that she could garland him. However, he would not do so, lest people should say that Ram, one of valor and righteousness, he would not do so. Bent his head before a woman. Unable to garland Ram, Sita was holding the garland in her hand for a long time. The onlookers were surprised and watching the proceedings without batting an eyelid. There is another secret in this act of Ram. From the worldly point of view, Ram had not seen Sita till then. Only after tying the Mangal Sutra would Sita become his consort and he would have the right to look at her. It is not proper for a man to look at an unmarried woman. This was the dharma of Rama. He had laid down for himself this restriction. Lakshman was the incarnation of Adi Shesha, who carries the Mother Earth on his hood. Ram looked at Lakshmana as if to say, "Look, why don't you raise that part of earth where Sita is standing to enable her to garland me?" Then Lakshman indicated to Ram that it was not possible to raise any particular area. If he tries to raise that part of earth where Sita was standing simultaneously, Ram would be raised and so also others. Lakshman, being one of the intelligence, thought of a plan to solve the problem. All of a sudden he fell at the feet of Ram and would not get up for a long time. Then Ram had to bend his head to lift Lakshman. Sita seized the opportunity and lost no time in garlanding him. Saint Tyagaraja sang the following verse in praise of Ram. O Ram, if it was not for your mighty power, would a mere monkey leap across the ocean? Would Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of wealth, would become your consort? Would the mighty Lakshman worship you? Would the intelligent Bharat offer his salutation to you? No doubt your power is unparalleled. Today people read the Ramayana, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavata, but they fail to recognize the subtle implications contained in them. Where there is divinity, there is attraction power. Many people of different nations have gathered here. No one has called you here, nor did anyone send you invitation. The name and form of Bhagawan has attracted you here. No one is making any effort to recognize this divine power of attraction. The divine power of attraction cannot be described. It can attract anything. However, God uses this power in a limited manner. God has infinite power, but He adheres to certain limitations that He has laid down for Himself. Every man has this divine power latent in him. That is why the Vedas declare Isvara Sarva Bhutanam. God is the indweller in all beings. Isha Vasham Idam Jagat. The entire universe is permeated by God. All that you see, hear, and experience in the world is nothing but the reflection, reaction, and resound of atoms. First, you should understand the principle of the atom. People undertake various spiritual practices, but God cannot be attained through such practices. Today, man is unable to realize the truth as there is none to show him the proper path. None of these spiritual practices will help one to attain God. How can you attain God? Just as God showers His love on all, you should share your love with all. God will shower His grace on those who have the spirit of equality. You should share your love with everybody with the spirit of oneness. Only then can you attain God. Attain God does not mean that He is separate from you. He will manifest from within. Reflection, reaction, and resound are outside, but reality is within. That is the fundamental basis. No one is trying to recognize this. None can understand divinity. Act as per the divine command. Then you will certainly attain divinity. You cannot attain divinity through any other path. God is attributeless. He has only one quality, and that is love. That is life. Love is only relationship that exists between you and Him. Embodiments of love. It is very difficult to understand divinity. However, if you understand divinity, you would have understood everything in the world. Once you understand divinity, you will know that there is nothing simpler. This is the teaching of the Upanishads. Once you cultivate the vision of love, you will find divinity everywhere. One who does not understand this subtle secret gets confused. God can be attained only through love, not by wealth or position. Once a devotee was praying for the vision of Krishna. He was not married and had no worldly desires. He had no desire other than attaining Krishna. Pleased with his devotion, Radha decided to grant him a boon. Very close to his village there was a lake. A Bengal seller went to the lake to quench his thirst. Suddenly a hand emerged out of the lake and asked him if he would adorn her hand with bangles. She did not show her face, only her hand was seen. The bangle seller was surprised at this. As per her request, he put bangles to her hands. Then she asked as to what was the price of the bangles. He replied, "Mother, not much, just 2 rupees." Then she said, "Go to my house in the village and ask the owner to give you the money. I have kept the money in a small enclosure behind the window in the room." As per her directions, the bangle seller went to the house and spoke to the owner. Your daughter brought a a few bangles from me at the lake. She told me to collect the money from you. She also told that I could take the money from the small enclosure behind the window in your room. The owner was surprised to hear this. He said, "How can I have a daughter when I am not married at all? Moreover, there is no such enclosure or a window in my house. Someone has misguided you." However, on the insistence of the bangle seller, he went inside to see if the money was there. To his utter surprise, he found a window and behind it a small enclosure in the room. When he put his hand into the enclosure, he got the required amount. He gave the money to the bangle seller and prayed, "Please take me with you and show me the lady who has sent you here." He sensed that the lady was none other than Radha. Chanting her name, he followed the bangle seller. When they went near the lake, an ethereal voice asked the bangle seller, "Son, have you received the money?" He replied, "Mother, I have received the money and also brought the owner of the house with me. Please bless him with your vision." But she said that she did not want to show her face to any person other than Krishna. From that day onwards, the devotee remained near the lake, chanting the name of Radha incessantly. Ultimately, he had the vision of Radha and Krishna. A true devotee is one who does not give up his resolve until he attains God. Having resolved what ought to be resolved, hold on to it till you have succeeded. Having desired what ought to be desired, hold on to it till your desire is fulfilled. Having asked what ought to be asked, do not leave the hold till you get it. Having thought what ought to be thought, hold on to it till you have succeeded. With heart mellowed, the Lord must yield to your wishes or forgetting yourself. You should ask Him with all your heart. Persevere, be tenacious and never give up. Never give tip, for it is the quality of a devotee never to retreat, abandoning his resolve. With such firm resolve, he could see Radha and Krishna and sanctify his life. Though God is everywhere, depending on the intensity of the prayer, He grants His vision to the devotee. He will not make Himself so cheap as to appear whenever somebody calls Him. He will inquire whether it is a necessary or not. He will put the following question: where, why, what, how, when. Only when he is satisfied with the answer does he respond. He acts according to the time, situation and circumstances. All powers needed to know God are latent in man. Man is highly powerful and sacred. With firm resolve and unflinching faith, he can accomplish any task. Man has travelled millions of miles and reached the moon, but he has not achieved even an inch of inward journey. People today spend enormous effort for obtaining material wealth, but they do not contemplate on God even for a minute. Once Narendra Vivekananda asked Sri Ramakrishna Swami, "You say you can see God. How is that we are not able to see Him?" Ramakrishna gave him a straight answer. "Son, people cry for their wives, children, family and their possessions, but do they shed a single tear for the sake of God? If one sheds with full heart tears for the sake of God, surely God will be visible to him. Develop firm determination to see God. If your faith is unsteady, you will lose sight of God's vision. People are full of doubts. Doubts arise out of attachment to the body. So long as there is attachment to the body, attachment to God will not arise. God will not manifest before doubters. Therefore, you should ensure that you do not allow doubts to arise under any circumstances. This is the only sadhana that you need to perform. With this sadhana, God manifests right in your heart. Ramana, the scientist, spoke today. He is an expert in atomic research. He is one who has achieved worldly fame in ample measure. He has been a direct pupil of C.V. Raman. Such people would normally be immersed in strictly material activities. He has retired, he has lost his wife, has gone through several worldly deprivations. However, he has a firm resolve. No matter what happens, he will not forsake Swami's association. By good fortune, I have got the association of God. I shall never let go of this opportunity. Having attached myself to the divine size fit, I shall never let go. Such is his firm resolve. This is real tapas. He is here and he continues to serve. Everything is contained in service. Neither by penance, nor by pilgrimage, nor by study of scriptures, nor by jap can one can cross the ocean of life. One can achieve it only by serving the pious. Sanskrit verse. Without having the vision, contact and conversation with God, what is the use of long life? Such life is no different from that of an inert stone. Even dogs see me when I am present. Do they attain liberation? The moment they have the view, mere seeing is not enough. You must perceive the form with its divinity. Mere contact is not enough. One must touch with a divine feeling. The divine vibration should emanate straight from the heart. Bhagawan shows himself in the form conceived by each. Whatever form is that favorite of the devotee, he appears in that form. All forms are that of God. The formless one assumes manifold forms for the sake of the devotees. Firstly, one must recognize the principle of divinity. There are several subtle ways for this. I shall talk about these next time. Thank you for watching this wonderful video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you.